Okay, so Ashes of Creation, the game of dreams and despair, where every patch note sparks joy for those of us who absolutely love it so far, and existential dread for everyone else. If you've spent any amount of time on YouTube or Reddit lately, you might think that the game is collapsing faster than a Jenga tower during an earthquake. From the duping scandal to complaints about crafting bottlenecks and the ridiculously imbalanced crafted gear issue, the community is awash with dire predictions and political finger-pointing videos. Let's not forget the content creators, those brave souls who've turned Ashes of Creation is Dying videos into an art form. They warn us about bugs that Intrepid fixes days later, exploit scandals that vanish as quickly as they appeared, and class imbalance in a system that doesn't even have access to all of the classes yet. Some of those creators sound less like critics and more like a Karen marching into the kitchen mid-cooking to demand a refund because her burger smells funny. Buckle up, it's going to be a bumpy ride through the land of overreaction and misplaced priorities. First, the duping scandal. A tale as old as time in gaming where someone discovers a bug, exploits it for maximum gain, and suddenly the community is on fire. In the case of Ashes of Creation, this bug allowed players to duplicate materials, gold, and even craft legendary gear out of thin air. Naturally, videos started popping up with titles like "Game-Breaking Exploit Destroys Ashes Economy" and "The End of Ashes of Creation?" Because who cares that it's a bug in an alpha test? And here's the thing though, the exploit wasn't even around long enough to catch its breath. Intrepid's response was swift and merciless. Not only did they patch the issue within days, but they also wiped the duped items, reset affected nodes, and deleted over 100 characters belonging to the exploiters. Steven Sharif himself even stepped in, issuing a stern warning to anyone thinking of bending the rules. Play fair, or watch your character get Control-Alt-Deleted into oblivion. Okay, maybe he didn't say exactly that, but the message was clear. Despite all this, the Doomsayers clung to their panic like a toddler clutching a favorite toy. Never mind that Ashes is still in alpha, or that these tests exist specifically to catch and fix these sort of issues. For some, the mere existence of a bug is evidence that the sky is falling, the servers are crumbling, and Steven Sharif is personally conspiring to ruin their gaming experience. It's as if they expected a flawless MMO to emerge fully formed like Athena from Zeus's head, if you understand that reference. And were devastated when reality didn't live up to their delusional expectations. What's even funnier is how this panic managed to completely miss the bigger picture. Intrepid's swift and decisive action proves that they care deeply about the integrity of their game. They could have ignored the issue, chalking it up to "it's just an alpha," waited until Phase 2 or Phase 3 to fix it. But instead, they took drastic steps to restore balance immediately. That's the kind of dedication most MMO players dream about. But no, let's all focus on the temporary chaos of a testing phase instead. So the next time you see a game-breaking bug video title, take a deep breath, grab some popcorn, and remember that Intrepid's probably got it under control while you watch the creator cry about whatever bug they found in Ashes. Now, if there's one thing Ashes of Creation players are great at, it's turning minor inconveniences into full-blown existential crises. Whether it's the corruption system, crafting bottlenecks, or AFK exploiters, the community has a knack for acting like the apocalypse is just one patch note away. It's as if every bug or imbalance is a sign that the game is doomed, rather than, being brought to light so it can be fixed. That's kind of the point of an alpha test. Take the corruption system for example. It's a clever mechanic designed to discourage ganking by punishing players who murder unflagged opponents. Yet, somehow, every patch that tweaks it, or doesn't tweak it, spawns a fresh wave of Reddit threads screaming PvP is ruined forever. Never mind that, again, the system is being overtuned for testing. It's apparently easier to declare the entire concept a failure and demand a refund. And let's not forget the infamous crafting droughts, where players will wail over scarce copper as if it's the one ring, not remembering that player stalls in Phase 2 will probably be handing it out like Halloween candy. But perhaps most baffling of all is the panic over AFK exploiters. Sure, it's annoying to see someone macroing their way to free XP while you're out here grinding mobs the hard way, but the sheer outrage over what is essentially a temporary issue feels a bit much. It's like spotting someone cutting in line at a theme park only to set up a protest rally about the injustice of it all. You can chill, because it's going to get fixed. And then there's the paranoia over gear imbalance. Yes, legendary gear was hilariously overpowered once players started cranking it out. But instead of appreciating how quickly Intrepid addressed the issue, some players acted like the game had betrayed them on a personal level. It should be obvious that Firebrand, a 25-man world boss, shouldn't be soloed or trioed by players in legendary gear. At its core, this panic boils down to a lack of patience. We've been conditioned by years of bad game launches to expect the worst, even when a studio like Intrepid has proven time and again that they're willing to put in the work. So maybe, just maybe, instead of hitting the panic button, we could try submitting feedback instead. Now let's talk about class build guides, a cornerstone of gaming content creation, but also, in the case of Ashes of Creation, an unintentional comedy goldmine. You've seen the videos. Best tank build for Ashes Alpha or the ultimate DPS cleric guide. They pop up in your feed like weeds promising expert strategies for a game that most people can't even log into yet. The kicker is that these guides are often made for classes that aren't even fully implemented or are bound to change by the next weekend. They're definitely changing by the time you can play this game. Creating a build guide for Ashes of Creation in its current state is like programming a GPS for a town that gets demolished and rebuilt every week. And considering how often Intrepid tweaks class mechanics during tests, it's entirely possible that the ultimate build you meticulously planned is obsolete before the video even finishes uploading. What's even funnier is the audience. These guides are often aimed at viewers who can't even play the game yet. Imagine studying for a test you're not allowed to take with a moderator that changes the test every 5 minutes. It's absurd, isn't it? But hey, if theory crafting for a hypothetical situation keeps these creators busy, who are we to judge? I mean, I'm making content about them making content, so there's that. Don't get me wrong, build guides have their place, but maybe they should hold off on the Ultimate Ranger DPS guide until we're, actually out of the alpha? Because right now, the only ultimate thing about these builds is the level of irony they achieve. If nothing else, they serve as a reminder that patience, much like balance, is a rare commodity in the MMO community. And now let's talk about content creators, including me. Look, we're all part of the same clickbait ecosystem. The dramatic thumbnails, the exaggerated titles. Ashes of Creation is on fire, with a picture of me looking like I just saw my bank account after buying alpha access. It's all part of the game, but the real challenge isn't just creating entertaining content. It's doing so in a way that adds value to the community rather than feeding the cycle of unnecessary panic. The truth is, negativity sells. Game-breaking bug and Ashes is doomed videos will always get more clicks than a calm discussion about a system that's working as intended. It's tempting to lean into that. Heck, I've done it. But it risks creating an echo chamber where every minor issue becomes a catastrophe. At this stage of development, when the game is still in alpha, that kind of content does little more than generate noise. So how do we, as content creators, strike a balance? For starters, we could focus on celebrating the wins. Intrepid's ability to quickly address exploits and bugs is a story worth telling, instead of dwelling on the drama of a duping scandal. Why not highlight how decisively the devs resolved that? That doesn't mean ignoring the flaws. It means framing them in a way that encourages constructive dialogue rather than doom scrolling. We also have an opportunity to explore the deeper aspects of the game, instead of rushing to create build guides for classes that might not even exist in the same form next month. We could instead create content that helps players understand the underlying systems that will define Ashes in the long term. Node progression, the intricacies of caravans, or the evolving economy. It's all less flashy, but it's far more meaningful. At the end of the day, we're all trying to build excitement for a game we care about. The question we should be asking isn't how can I get more clicks, but how can I create content that helps players appreciate what I think makes Ashes special. It's not always easy because, let's face it, The algorithm loves drama. But if we want this game to succeed, our content should aim to uplift the community, not tear the game down. Or maybe I'm just overthinking it. After all, the algorithm isn't going to stop rewarding the chaos anytime soon. At the end of the day, Ashes of Creation isn't perfect, and it never will be. It's an alpha, and by definition, it's supposed to be messy. Bugs will happen, systems will break, and balance will swing harder than a berserker with a grudge. That's not a sign of failure. It's a sign of progress. Every issue we encounter, every exploit that gets patched, and every system that gets tweaked or wrecked is one step closer to the game we've all been waiting for. And look, I get it. Panic makes for easy clicks. Watching videos about doom and gloom or must-know guides for an ever-changing alpha is tempting. Heck, I'm guilty of feeding that same cycle myself back in my Dead by Daylight days. But the truth is, most of what we're panicking about today will be forgotten by the time Phase 3 gets going. Intrepid has shown that they're committed to fixing problems faster than most studios can even acknowledge them. The least we can do is give them space to work. So whether you're a player, a content creator, or just someone watching from the sidelines, remember, the sky isn't falling. It's just having a minor wardrobe malfunction. And that's what alphas are for. That's all for today. You're welcome.